think 10% of children have seen by the time they're 9, and that rises to 50% by the time they're 13. It's a massive issue at the moment with extortion.
Nicole Howes is a writer, editor, and content consultant with over 15 years of experience helping brands communicate. She is also the author of Not a Survival Guide, a straight-talking, practical resource for parents navigating the teenage years.
You say that this is not a survival guide. So what is it then, in your own words?
I don't have all the answers, and I think that's the whole point. So many parenting guides are just telling you to do this, do that. It just doesn't happen like that.
What do you think about mobile phones, technology, gaming?
I don't think that it's good for them. Like, it's genuinely something that becomes so entwined in their way of thinking.
You want the child, when it gets to teenage, to go away and find their own tribe. That then stopped girls
Completely.
getting raped by their families, boys having illicit relations with their sisters.
You wouldn't want them hanging around forever, would you, anyway?
If there's one conversation you wish every parent could have with their teen, what would that be?
That's a really big question.
I think... Nicole, thanks for coming.
You're
so
welcome.
let's start with the obvious. You've written a book, Not a Survival Guide. Why did you write this?
Okay, so I wrote the book because what I found was, as your children grow, you have a baby and you have a lot of support in that. There's not as much support as people need necessarily, but there are baby groups, there's midwifery, there's all the other stuff that helps you through those early stages. Then your child transforms into this toddler and you're like, oh my God, what the hell? I don't know what I'm doing with this child that I now have. And you have to relearn very quickly, as you probably have found in recent years. And then you move through and you keep going through each stage, but each stage has some level of support. So even if it's online forums and WhatsApp groups and parents at the school gate, not necessarily always the most helpful, but at least they are there if you need them. By the time my children got to teenage years, I was like, oh, I should know what I'm doing by now. And I actually don't. And that for me felt like one of the biggest shifts in their behaviour and the way that I had to learn to parent them and how I had to like learn on my feet really quickly. And honestly, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And I didn't find that there was any support out there to help me understand what I was doing.
When did you see that tick over? What age?
I think it kind of comes in flurries and you get it in little tiny bursts from about 9 or 10 upwards, and you get different questions being asked and you start to move in different circles and they start to change their attitude towards you, like pulling away a little bit. One of the toughest parts is they seem to want you less and less and less, but actually at that point they need you more than ever. And it's really easy as a parent to just go, oh, well, you don't need me anymore. Like, back off. I'll let you be with your friends. I'll let you do your own thing. But I'd say, 9, 10, you're really in the shift. And I think it's earlier than ever.
I actually noticed it. I've got 2 stepkids and I do that because we're not officially married or anything like that, but they've been in my life a long time. And I noticed it. We went to a lovely hotel resort and really noticed it with the 11-year-old because he got his bike and he was just off with his mates then. Made mates on the first day and he was just off.
Yeah.
Literally didn't see him. He's not on any family photos. He's on like a couple. Do you know what I mean? Because he was just completely off. And Danny was like, that's it now, he's gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's finding his own way in the world. I don't know, I was talking to a friend about this and she said, it's meant to happen. It's tribal, actually.
Yeah.
And it goes back to this thing of it goes back to like incest, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
You want the child when it gets to teenage age, when that puberty's kicking in, to go away and find their own tribe. That then stopped girls
Completely.
getting raped by their families, boys having illicit relations with their sisters. It's
They
actually
have
really
to think
natural.
you're stupid. That's the thing.
It's a really natural thing to happen. And actually, while it might hurt as a parent, but it's actually brilliant. They're developing in the way that they should be.
Yeah, it's a horrible moment because you've brought this child up and actually become closer to them as they become older in some ways as well. But they have to think you're stupid. So like you said, they leave the tribe. You wouldn't want them hanging around forever, would you anyway?
No.
They need to do that. That's the whole point of them getting to this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you say that this is not a survival guide.
Yeah.
So what is it then, in your own words?
Okay, so this is a companion more than a survival guide. It's a way of leaning into other people's stories, into my own experience through this time. But also, I don't know everything. I can't possibly know how your child is. I can't know how you should treat them to get them to a place that you're happy as a family unit. I don't have all the answers. And I think that's the whole point. So many parenting guides are just telling you to do this, do that, and you'll end up rolling out a perfect child on the conveyor belt at the end of it. Well, it just doesn't happen like that. And you can try until you're blue in the face to get a child to do something, particularly a teenager, and they're just not going to do it. So it's a case of finding your way around that, knowing that you're supported, knowing that you're not alone in it, but also some really useful tools and techniques to try and make you think of it, as a parent, you think of it in a different way and have a slightly different perspective on the whole teenage phase.
So who did you interview for the book, or what was the research that you did for the book to try and understand the teenage years? So
lots of it's personal experience and my own shift, and it's particularly the shift in between child and teen. So at the moment with people leveling up to high school and that changeover from primary to high school is a big shift. So I did a lot of personal research. I spoke to lots and lots and lots of people who have been parents of teens who are in that moment at the time. A lot of books are retrospective. So they're looking at things, why the time has passed 10, 20 years. Well, the society and the things that children are dealing with have moved on so much by the time that book hits print. So I started to write whilst we were in the midst of it. So I could have it. It was a real life feeling at the time. Then I spoke to people like TJ Power, who's a neurologist. He does a lot of stuff on brain chemicals. I don't know if you've seen any of his work. He talks about how we can control our own brain chemicals, and actually that information for teenagers is really valuable. So there's lots of stuff you can do to stimulate good feelings rather than bad ones for them. So that was quite a good, healthy conversation.
Definitely. I mean, I admire anybody who's written a book. I have written many books, but for other people, and I find it so easy to write it for other people because it's not me. And I have 2 to 3 unfinished books on my own laptop, which one day when maybe I've exited the business or whatever.
To be a sneak peek.
They're absolutely nothing like this, I'll tell you that. They are absolutely, they're more like Jackie Collins, kind of murderous, loads of twists and turns, you name it. Fabulous books. But to get back to the point, what was it like writing this, but also going through the chaos of teenage parents?
I think the worst part of it in some ways was thinking I shouldn't do it. I actually shouldn't write this because some of it is so honest. And I had to be really careful to tread the line of, I'm a real advocate of not shit talking your teens. So I had to be really careful that as I was going through, I wasn't putting exactly every little thing that was happening, because there is that feeling like, you're like, I need to just get this out. Like I could put, this is a great story, like something they've told me, a way that they've acted, but they're such private stories that I couldn't just make it all about what was actually happening to me at the time. It had to be those anecdotal moments, and it was just one of those feelings that I had to get it all on paper to try and help other people go through it.
Was your partner, your kids, were they supportive of it?
Yeah, they were super supportive. But I think when the wheels come off in your own home sometimes, which when you have teenagers, it happens so regularly. I thought we were going through a few bits and pieces at home that I really would have liked to have delved into more. And when my daughter shifted from primary to high school, I actually felt this deep level of grief. I was sitting there thinking, what is going on with me? I felt I was spinning so many plates. I was running from place to place. And then I had this feeling of I'm losing my daughter. And it's felt so extreme because I've never been one of those parents that's oh, I'm so sad my child's growing up. I've always been they're independent, they're amazing. This is why I'm doing this. I'm doing it to get them where they need to be. And suddenly I found myself crying on the school run because I was oh, you're not going to be little anymore. Who even was this person? I didn't recognize myself. I just was thinking everything that I've done up until now, was it enough? Had I been enough for them? Would I be able to do this teenage thing and not let them down? And what on earth was I going to end up with at the end of it? Who were these people going to become? And I think that's why I had to talk about it openly, because no one else is talking about. I mean, people go, oh, teenagers are horrible. Teenagers are awful. Oh, who would want teenagers? But no one actually says, are you okay?
No, I know. Well, I'm going through the opposite kind of end of the spectrum here. I've got a toddler who's 2, and toddlers, 2-year-olds are terrible too, are horrible. She's often horrible, but she's only horrible around me. I mean, she is a different child when she comes out of nursery. She's a different child around the grandparents. She's a different child for my partner. She's a different child for a childminder. And then when with me, she's the worst she could ever be, ever. And I find that really difficult because it makes me not want to spend time with her.
Yeah.
Like, I hate spending time with her because she's that bad.
That's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. And like, Danny over me goes, she's been amazing today. Like, I had a week of it on holiday, which was just non-stop, horrendous to me. And obviously I love her and I just wish it was not like that. But everyone's like, it's because she feels safe with you, she can go mental. But
and people will just say it's terrible twos. But that
Yeah.
doesn't help when you're in the midst of it, does it?
No, it just makes me think, oh my God, please calm down. Yeah, it's hard. And I can just imagine what it must be like to have a teenage daughter that's also going to go through like developmental issues, hormonal changes, hormonal shifts.
Yeah.
Did you speak to anyone about like an endocrinologist or anything?
No, I didn't. But actually, I'm quite keen to have a conversation with someone at this stage just so that we can understand more about the depth of what is actually going on.
Yeah, because that testosterone is deploying in boys. It's making them want to fight more, want to be physical more, you know, and it's probably a natural thing to do. I don't know. How many kids have you got? Two.
Two. Yeah.
So a girl and a boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got two boys. They're always play fighting with each other and stuff. And I don't know, it must be good for them. They get all that energy out. You know, they need it, I suppose. They need a bit of rough and tumble.
Yeah, of course. And you see it surge. Like some weeks it'll be much worse than others where you're like, whoa, what is going on? You must experience it more with the two boys. But.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think about mobile phones, technology, gaming?
So we don't have social media for the children in our house. We have always stood quite strong on that I don't think that it's good for them. And certainly I monitor my children's phones, and I often see their conversations that they're having with other teenagers that are on things like Snapchat, and they will be obsessed with Snap streaks and other bits and pieces.
Isn't that social media?
And
Snapchat?
It just affects their mental health so much. Like you can see, like I've had messages come through from teenage girls to my son that's a conversation. It's a full conversation. He doesn't even have Snap. There's a full conversation about, I'm gonna lose this if I don't do this. I need to do it, and I'm worried about it because I've lost my streak. Like it's genuinely something that becomes so entwined in their way of thinking that they can't go without it. And when we have teenagers over to the house, some are fine and others are completely just on the phone, glued. And they lose out. Like you can see they're not a part of this conversation or this interaction that's happening, and they're completely losing their way of how to interact. And those intricacies and those little nuance in conversation, they're not learning it. So they don't have that capability.
Yeah. I mean, the older kids have got iPads and phones. Grace plays with wooden toys all day. And that's, you know, she has imaginative play. And everyone says I'm living in the dark ages.
It's great.
My reality is not the reality, but I'm a strong person. So I really want to keep her like that as long as possible. But everybody on holiday, all their kids had iPads at dinner. And ours definitely don't. We're really like against that. Like you enjoying it. You can do a bit of colouring and that's as much as you're doing.
Yeah, us too.
Yeah.
We have a technique at the table where we ask people, ask each other what they've done well today. And to the point where at some point we've had pushback and they've been like, oh, can we not just like be like everyone else's family? Like no one else does this. Like this is awkward now. But we'll just say, what did you do well today? And it's a question that actually makes you think and consider yourself. It's like considering your own wins for the day. And it's really healthy. And it'll often come up. Sometimes it will just be like, oh, I was nice to someone. It can be something so throwaway, but sometimes it can be like, actually, I worked really hard for this test and I did it. And now I feel really good that I've achieved that. But then we also ask, what did you fail at this week? So we'll do it once a week. We'll do what did you fail at? And actually, even for us as adults, it's really good for us to be expressing what we failed at the dinner table, and talking about like how we can make means to improve on that. But if we all had our phones in our hands, there's no chance we'd be having those conversations.
And there's literally nothing else on your phone that's even more interesting as well. And we're in these beautiful surroundings, lovely seaside outside, you know what I mean? Just enjoy that moment. Yeah, I thought it was super sad. Are you judgy when you see people who are like letting the kids on phones at 9 years old, on Snapchat, on social media, or doing everything that you think, wow, I'd never do that? I
don't necessarily feel judgmental to it, but I do feel a sense of like, come on, you know better than that now.
You weren't growing
like,
you didn't grow up
education, like that. No, you didn't grow up like that. And I think a few years ago, people could be forgiven for just allowing it. Like, I don't think the education was necessarily there, but I think particularly in the last few years, if you're on social media, you know how damning social media is. You know that there are people creating devices to block your phone so that you don't feel the need to pick it up. You know that that's happening to you as an adult. So why would you want to let that happen to your children?
I think I am a bit judgy, I'll be honest. But I know that my behaviour, that's all she sees. All she sees is me on my phone. And I'm like, no, give it back. That's mummy's work. That's mummy's work. You know what I mean? And until you give it up yourself, what chance have they got? Because it's learned behaviour.
Yeah.
Like she sits there pretending she's on the phone. She's pretending she's on the laptop. You know what I mean? She's got a dolly. She puts her dolly to bed and then she gets her laptop out. Like she's got a little till that she plays with. Do you know what I mean? But that's what she does because mummy does that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, and I'm like, it's monkey see, monkey do. My friend's little girl started vaping the other day with this like little plastic thing because they were moving. I was like, oh my God. But again, it's monkey see, monkey do. And I think if you want to change it, guess what? We have to get off it as well. Yeah. And I think about that all the time, which is why I have like an exit plan and think, okay, I'm going to be, a couple more years and I'm going to be full on Meghan Markle.
We all think that though, don't we? We all keep thinking like, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this.
Trust me, I'm done with this. So that, I mean, maybe I'm romanticising, but we can always hope that's what I'm clinging on to the dream of anyway, living off tech. Because I've been so involved in tech. Everything's tech. My life is run by AI, everything. And that's the other thing that's getting worse.
It is, and actually AI is really impacting on teens at the moment. As far as like AI chatbots, have you seen those?
Well, have you seen that guy who didn't he commit suicide? Young boy, 14 years old, I think. He got a chatbot girlfriend.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I saw that. And I think Musk has just released one onto his AI platform as well. So it's becoming more and more mainstream rather than...
I worry about the fertility situation.
Yeah.
You know, I know there's a lot of people who are like, well, I don't want kids, don't have kids who can't look after them, don't have kids who can't afford them. What are we going to do when we're in a situation where we've got a really aging population and absolutely nobody coming through? Yeah. There's nobody to look after the aging population. There's no one to go to work. Who's going to pay taxes? It doesn't work. We constantly need the cycle to, and I think tech has really disrupted that.
It has. And like I was saying with regards to conversation, where teens don't know how to converse with each other, they don't know how to date one another either. So they have no clue. They have no real life experience of like how to actually go out and date. And I think there was a study done recently on it actually with how many people just are not dating because they don't know how to do it.
I don't think it's just teens. I think it's
no, I don't.
Young men.
But there's no patterning either, is there? Like you were saying about tech, like your daughter's seeing you use tech and therefore she's doing it. As the generations shift into it's always been a world of online dating. No one's having these conversations. People aren't even going out in the evenings. Like when I was younger, people were going out midweek more and more. They don't really do that. They stay at home on their phones. So these teens are growing up not seeing their parents have that lifestyle. Their parents aren't going down the pub as much. They're not going to socialise with their friends. They're not even going to like exercise classes in the evenings.
I think then, personally, what can we do then? What is it that we can do?
I think we need to make a change ourselves and shift into that. But I do think you can't just pop your head in the sand and think that the tech is going to go away because it's not. And that's why these conversations are so important to have with our teenagers and to recognise that you need to help them to facilitate those circumstances. So for me, it's about making them have conversations. So when we go out, I make them do stuff. I brought my team with me today. He's sitting in the green room and I know that he will have a chat with the people that are out there and he'll be comfortable enough doing that because I've thrown him into so many situations where this morning we were at a hotel. We hadn't got toothpaste. So it's, can you just go and do that? But I think so many parents are over comforting and mollycoddling their children.
We always say, if you want another drink, you're going to have to ask the waitress.
Order it.
Yeah, order it yourself then and ask for the bill. Can you ask for the bill for us? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Giving them those situations where they can prove themselves, where they just incrementally, get a bit more responsibility. Like, you're allowed to go on your bike, but you've got to be back by 9. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can go and ask for the bill. Make sure you're nice and polite when you're doing it and give them those little tasks. I think personally what I think needs to happen is it's got to be back to the community. The community needs to step up now and realise there is a big problem. Men in the community, if you want the young boys to kind of model your behaviour, you need to show them the behaviour. I tell you, there's a brilliant lecture by Gareth Southgate. I don't know if you watched it.
I have seen it. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he was all on about the community, team building. He had loads of coaches and he had loads of older male figures in his life that were really showing him the path, the way to be. You know what I mean? And he's a great guy. And maybe that's what needs to happen. We've lost the village. We've lost the community. Everyone's isolating themselves. I mean, I virtually never go out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think we've got to try and get that community feel back, meet up a lot more.
But it starts at home, right? It starts with all of us individually making those differences and arranging that date and actually sticking with it and not being the one that goes, oh yeah, I'll come out. And then 5 minutes before you're like, oh, actually, I'm not going to do it now. Children are seeing all of that. Yeah. They see that happen.
I know, I agree. I'm just in that mode where I'm like, if it's not for work, there's no point in me going. Yeah. That's where I am at the moment because I go out and socialise so much for work. This event, that event, this podcast, I'm going to London, I'm doing this, I'm doing absolutely loads. But there's always an end goal. There's a motivation for me to do that. And otherwise, I need to protect my peace and just have a rest if that's not it. I can't remember the last time I did anything for fun, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I get it. But part of protecting your peace is about interacting with other people, even though it doesn't feel like it is. We're social people. Like, it's different for you because you are seeing other people, you are socialising, you are talking. But whether it's that authentic, just having a chat and actually saying how you feel and having those moments with people, those interactions, you need to make sure that you're getting those as well. And that's what we need to make sure our teens are.
Yeah. No, I mean, I watch her little behaviour, Grace's little behaviour, and she does yoga because I do. I bought some little Fisher-Price weights because mummy does. I want her to model great behaviour as well, which is why I shove that in front of her because I don't want her just seeing me on my phone. And, you know, let's be the family that go out, play tennis, do this, do that. You know what I mean? There's nowhere near the dinner table.
There's no way your teens in particular are going to listen to you if you're going, oh, yeah, just put down your phone.
I know.
Can you put down your phone now, please? How long have you been on there? And you're literally standing on your phone. I've seen it happen. I've seen it in like social situations where parents have gone, can you just come on off your phones and speak to people, please? And they've got their phones in their hands.
Yeah, it's very hard to do. Agreed. So in the book, you tackle tricky conversations about like self-pleasure and a lot of other things. I would rather pretend these things didn't exist.
Yeah, they do.
You know, hopefully I don't have to deal with that.
You will have to deal with
it. So, yeah, what would be your advice on these tricky conversations?
My advice would be to normalise everything as early as possible. So it's a little controversial, but I wouldn't necessarily hide away or shy away from any conversation. We made it a rule straight away, as soon as our children ask us a question, you just have to answer them with a fact. And it's become a bit of a game for us because we've had the odd thing come at us, which has been really funny on reflection, but really hard at the moment. Yeah. So my son, he was about 9 years old, and he won't mind me telling you this story. 9 years old, and I was in the throes of clearing out a room, boxes everywhere, like really inconvenient moment. Comes through and goes, hi, Mummy, can I ask you a question? I was like, yeah, of course you can. Can you tell me what WAP is? I was like, yeah. And if you're not aware, it actually is a song and it stands for Wet Ass Pussy. So I was thinking, well, where do I even go with this? Like, how do I have this conversation with him? So we focused on the W and the P, and I just went into full conversation. He knew what sex was by that point. He's 9 years old. We'd had open conversations. We had not, like I said, shied away from anything. So actually then, because we'd been open, getting to that point of the conversation wasn't as hard as it could have been. So there was already kind of a bridge there. So we talked about women's bodies and made it very factual. We talked about how they react when they are in a moment of pleasure, but we had to.
None of that. I would have gone, stop listening to that.
No, we have to, because they're singing it, right? They're singing along with it. It's on the radio. It's wherever. It's in the school. On the radio. But it's in school. No, maybe not. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's a societal thing. But if it did, and it is at your door, you've got to answer it. Like, you have a responsibility to, like, you can't be so scared of going through that door that they are unprotected. And that's the problem.
I'm not scared. I just think, no, you're too young to know that. And it's disgusting, derogatory language I don't even want you using.
But that is then the conversation you can have.
I'd say that is disgusting. Shut up. Get away. Shut up. I would literally be like, you don't ever say that again. Yeah. That's what I would do. There's no way I'd sit there explaining eroticism. Well, that's just me personally. I wouldn't.
Yeah, but it's not eroticism, is it? It is made into that because that's the way it's coming across in the media, and that's what they're going to be hearing it as. And if you don't step in and say, actually, there is a fact to this, it is to do with your bodies, it is to do with your female counterparts' bodies, and actually talking about them in that way isn't the right way to go about it, because these are the facts, and this is what happens. We're made to have at some point in our time, not yet because you're young, but at some point this will happen. For us, it was really important. And actually we had an incident where the children were put in an unsafe situation, not them personally, but very close to an unsafe situation with somebody that ended up being convicted of something awful, which I can't talk too much about. But because they had these conversations with me, they had these red flags in their minds and they were able to protect themselves. And we can't protect our children when they're not with us, whether that's at school, at a sports club, out at friends' houses. We haven't got that ability to protect them. And I know it's a bit of a joke because it's the WAP conversation, but actually that led to such a more serious conversation and an understanding of all things emotional, pleasure and consent. And actually those things are really conversations we do need to be having. And if we can lean into them with stupid things like WAP on the radio, then that's the perfect opportunity to be like, okay, right, I can have a sensible conversation with you now. And yeah, we can go from there.
Well, like I said, my stepson's 11. I couldn't even imagine talking to him like that. There's no way. I can barely get him to switch his light off in his bedroom. Yeah. I'm not going down that route. But I think that's because, I don't know, I'm not his mum or his dad.
But if he came to you with a direct question, you'd have a choice. You could either answer it as you see fit, like with a fact, or get someone else to answer it with him.
Your dad.
Well, yeah, but if that's the route, and it's a different situation if they're stepchildren, possibly, but also you're part of that village. So you are part of his village and part of what we need, and we do need communities to step up and be there for them. So I
feel like it's a dad to dad thing.
Well, he's more likely to listen to you actually than because he thinks his dad's stupid. Remember, it's tribal.
Maybe. But if it's my little girl, no, I'll be all over it. And I honestly, yeah. Oh God, I don't want to think about these things.
It's really awkward though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
it's not something that's come easy over the years.
I mean, Peppa Pig's mum's just had a baby, and she's like goes around stuffing a dolly up her jumper. Yeah. She's like, I've got a baby in my tummy. I'm like, I hope you haven't. But that's as far as we go at the moment. Okay, use the fountains and drains theory.
Yeah.
Can you explain this to our listeners, please?
Yeah, so fountains and drains is really useful for everyone, not just for teenagers, but it's a technique that I've taught my teens. For me, it was something that I learned very early on, probably not early enough actually, in my 20s. I had a friend that had a chat with me and I was struggling with friendships, relationships, and actually just keeping everyone happy. When you get to that stage in your 20s where you, not necessarily people pleasing, but you don't want to let anyone down. Like you have a date to go on or you have a meeting to have and you're seeing too many people. Like you said earlier, it's about protecting your peace and you see that now. But as someone in my 20s, I was just trying to keep everyone happy. I was just saying yes to everything. Like, no, I wouldn't ever say no. So my friend had a chat with me about the fountains and drains theory, and it's something that I've carried on until this point, which is notice the people around you and pay attention to if they are fountains or drains. If someone is a fountain, then they make you feel good when you're around them. They do good things for you. They have good intentions. It might not always be perfect, but they are people that lift you up. The drains are the people that even if they've been a friend a very long time, even if they're a family member, they are pulling you down. So they're making you feel bad after you've been with them, while you're with them. In your heart of hearts, like if you don't want to hang out with this person or you don't want to commit your time to them, could even be someone in business, but it could be someone that's just continually just making you feel negative and is a drain. So work out who your fountains and drains are in your life. Spend your time with the fountains. Surround yourself with fountains. Encourage your children to surround themselves with their fountains and cut out your drains. Like just cut them out. Like don't even ponder it too much. I mean, it becomes awfully awkward if it's like your mum or your dad that turns out to be a drain. But spend less time. Do what you need to do to lift yourself and lift others around you, or have that conversation with someone to tell them actually you're a drain at the moment. Can we do something about it?
Yeah. I mean, I flip from a fountain or a drain. I actually call it drains and radiators.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, really similar.
But yeah, around certain types of people, I am the biggest drain ever because I quite clearly don't want to be there. Not really interested in what they're saying a lot of the time, and I do not hide it. Calvin's laughing because he knows, he can tell straight away. But I do not hide my personality. I'm just like, I'm really like insular, and I love one-on-one conversations. I hate big groups. I'm a real introvert. And then I met a friend for lunch the other day, and she's probably the only person that I could ever talk to completely non-judgmentally. And I can tell her like some of the worst thoughts I've ever had. And we sit there and laugh about it because she's like, I feel the same. And that absolutely radiates me. But like, she's one of the only people I can do that with. And I don't spend enough time with her. And the rest of the stuff, I'm just like, just muddled through. You know what I mean? So I can see how people would call me a drain loads of times, but it's just because I'm just absolutely not stimulated by the conversation whatsoever. Yeah. So you can be totally different people to
absolutely. And one person's fountain can be another person's drain. Absolutely. For sure. It doesn't make them a bad person. It's just that they're just not right for you. They're not your people.
Exactly. Okay, so the book is completely honest or unapologetically honest. A little bit sweary. Yeah. Straight talking, direct. I like it. What's been the reaction from readers so far?
It's been really overwhelmingly positive, which is great. It was quite scary putting it out, so it's nice to have some really great feedback. But I've had lots of like honest thank yous. Just thank you for giving me this moment. Thank you for making me recognise how I've been behaving, and that actually I need time for myself as well, because it is about teenagers, but actually it's also about prioritising your peace and yourself in amongst this mayhem that is parenting. So lots of feedback on that. But I've also had lots of grandparents that have read it. I don't know if it's just been laying around or if they've intentionally bought it, but that have it's brought up a lot, and it's made them kind of question the way that they've parented in obviously in times past. It's the way that they've parented their children, and actually it's made them think differently about how they are interacting and supporting their grandchildren. Because you know what that's like, don't you? Your grandparents can treat the children totally different to how you were treated. So that's something that actually has come up. It's been really interesting to hear different people's perspectives on it.
You mentioned before that you spoke to a neurologist. What insight did you get from that? Did you when you spoke to that person, did you think, right, I've completely changed my opinion on that?
I think one of the biggest things was how dopamine is fueling our bodies and how we're craving the fueling of dopamine. So the dopamine that we get, the quick fire dopamine that we get from using things like mobile phones, you'll know this already, but it is it's kind of like a fake version of the real life dopamine that we want. So it's quick fire dopamine that comes to us from doing stuff that's effortless but with big reward. The dopamine that we want to be chasing is the dopamine that is high effort and then gives us high reward. So times gone by, it would have been hunting for something, and you could have stalked something for days and days and days and days before you actually caught it and managed to then enjoy that with your family and have it as a moment of nutrition. That was what you needed, and that's when your dopamine levels would have risen and they would have stayed really at a good level and made you feel good. What we're having now is we're getting a hit effectively. We're getting dopamine hits from everything,
all day
and so
long.
we're chasing
it. Likes, this, that, the
exactly, and we're chasing that distraction as well. So I think that was one thing that we've drawn up a chart in our house that leads into the four main brain hormones: the dopamine, endorphins, serotonin, and I've totally forgotten the other one. It's gone from my head. It's in the book. But basically, we then put tasks under each of them that allow the children to chase those brain chemicals themselves. No.
Cortisol?
No. They'll come back to me in a minute. But yeah, it allows them to chase those themselves and understand how they can get good, healthy hits of those things. It's actually in the book called Dose by TJ Power, if you want to have a look at it. But yeah, it's fascinating. It's really, really worth working on your own brain chemicals and the way that they affect you.
Interestingly, and I had a guy who was a geneticist. Let's have a look. Dose oxytocin.
Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one I
Yeah.
missed.
Like
That's the love
Calvin.
chemical. So that's about being with people. So that's about like touching your teen's hand, you know, like when you pass them, or like rubbing them on the head, or whatever it is, to have those connections. They're the connections, the physicality ones that are being lost. Is the love hormone is so important.
Yeah.
And we still have responsibility for them, even as they go older, even if they'll be like, oh, get off, like, oh, I don't want you here, to have those moments, and like to have moments just with you and them.
Yeah, for sure. I interestingly had my genetics testing, and I have low serotonin in my brain, which is probably why I'm miserable all the
That's
time.
the sunshine one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Serotonin is sunshine hormone.
Again, and now I know that. I know how to like support it a little bit better, but I'm always going to struggle with it.
Yeah.
So when I get bad news, it hits me hard. I take it really personally. It can be anything. Not so good feedback from a customer, and I'm like, I won't let it drop. Do you know what I mean? I take that super hard. I can't just brush it off. But yeah, that was really interesting, and I had my genetics done. I feel that diet and nutritional deficiencies also play a big role.
They do.
With kids, teenagers' development. We're seeing that. I don't know, maybe that's not focused on enough, I don't know, with their hormonal imbalances, all the plastic, their environmentals that just weren't there. There's 50 years ago, 30 years ago. Even when I was growing up, it wasn't as bad as it is now.
Huge amount of processed food as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big issue, I think.
I think mum in the 80s leaving the home, you know, and now she's grabbing something quick. Yeah. Ready meals. I think there's a lot to argue about mum being in the home, if I'm honest. I know I've spun round back to that. I'm like, I've done it. Guess what? I don't want it anymore. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I think I've done it, but, you know, built the business, bought the T-shirt. I can prove I can do it. Who am I trying to impress?
Go home now.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, there is a lot to be said for that. I think time and convenience is a big issue. And I think there's a lot of pressure on people to be perfect and be doing everything they need to be doing. Yeah, I think there's a lot of plates being spun.
The amount of women who left the home, the graph of that, and the graph of obesity pretty much go up in correlation. So I think there's a big argument.
The responsibility isn't just with the women to do it, is it?
It's
That's
not,
the thing,
but it still
someone
is,
has to do
someone's
it.
got to do it, because that's the problem. I feel like outsourcing that job. I hate the word. I hate that. What's for tea? Oh my God.
That's the worst question, isn't it? I would love to just have a chef that just did that for me. That would be.
I feel like that would be my next hire. Forget like a mini MD for the business. I'd just rather that.
Dream.
Or meal prep or something. I hate the question, what's the tea? There's nothing that will wind me up more than that. I don't know. Sort it yourselves.
You're onto something there, I think.
Okay, what's one thing you've done as a parent recently that you know you'll get judged for, but you did it anyway?
Probably the open conversations that I have with the children. It will definitely be something. People are dead against it. Like, what are you doing? How are you doing that? Why are you introducing them to those things? So the conversation about, for example, is a really important one in my mind to have. I think the stats are 10% of children have seen by the time they're 9, and that rises to 50% of children have seen it by the time they're 13. So for me, it's important to have those conversations early. And that is something that definitely stirs people's pots.
And what do you say about it?
So I introduce as a general conversation. So we often use things like scenes in TV to get into tricky conversations, because you can't just like necessarily just bring it up in the middle of nowhere. Oh, by the way, I just want to talk to you. But if there's something going on TV, it will be a case of, oh, there's a scene on TV, for example. That's a really good lead in to explaining, you know, this isn't real. This isn't a real representation of. Did you realise that? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, I know. Like, they're embarrassed. They don't want to necessarily talk to me when I'm chirping on. But then we would lead into, there is also this thing called, which is, you might have heard of it. Have you heard of it? Now, most parents would expect their children to go, no. Anything from 10, most children will go, yeah, I've heard of it. Someone was talking about it the other day at school. It's in their minds. They already know about it. So we can then open up this conversation. What do you know about it? Let them lead it. Let them tell you what they already know. And at that point, you can then guide them through and put them right. But I would always say with something like, to explain that it's not real. It's actors and actresses. They're there for other people. And it's created as a form of entertainment. But it's a form of entertainment that is to be watched when you are much older. But do not confuse with real sex. So then we have a conversation to lead on to, and they can then ask questions and we can delve in as deep as they want to into the conversations. But as long as I've opened it, the reason I do that is so that if they then have things that come up, they will come to me because they know it's an open channel. They can come and talk with me about whatever they want to in regards to anything. And they'll always ask the questions. And yeah, it is awkward. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I don't want to answer the questions, but you have to do that.
I think, I don't know. I'd be like, oh, have you heard? Right, okay. Don't watch it. It's not for you. Like scumbags, watch it. That's what I would say. Yeah. I would be like, I'd really put them off.
But say they've already watched it and you've said scumbags watch it. And then they're like, well, am I? Then I can't talk to her about it. You are, and that's not how you behave. That's how I'm hard line. I'd be like, well, that's not how we behave. So don't watch it. And if you find anybody is watching it, you come and tell me. Yeah. But they'll still probably do it. And then they'll just be like, well, I now can't talk to her about it because she thinks I'm a scumbag. So
yeah, well, damn right. And then they'll think, oh God, I'm a scumbag for doing this. And then they'll be shamed, like there'll be shame around it.
Yeah, but then there's shame attached.
Do it. Yeah, so then they won't want to do it.
But they will. They'll still want it. They'll still want it. Like teenage boys want to watch. It's curiosity. They'll want to watch it. That's the fact. You telling them that they're a scumbag isn't going to change anything. They're still going to want to delve into it.
Listen, Danny has probably got a totally different view on this. Like we had this conversation the other week and I was like, listen, don't be bringing girls back here. Like, no chance. Like, no, not happening. I was like, if it's a girlfriend, it's a different matter. But like, no, you're not bringing, you're having one night stands in my house. There's absolutely no way I'm having that. I wasn't allowed to do nothing around my father.
Yeah.
No chance. Now, my mum was probably a bit too, like I had two lives, let's be honest. Like, mum was too far one way.
Yeah.
Dad was really the other way. Which did I prefer? That one. Boundaries. No, I'm not doing that. Safe. I'm safe. Someone's got my back. Whereas it was almost I couldn't shock her.
Yeah.
At 15, I was coming home saying, I've done this, I've done that, I've done the other. At 15 years old, I definitely shouldn't have been doing it. Then that's what open conversations got to me. And that's why I'm like, absolutely fucking not.
So that's why open conversations have to come with boundaries. So I'm not saying you tell them everything and you open a world up to them and you go on, off you go try it, it'll be great.
Well,
like that's not what it is. So an open conversation, you have the open conversation, you tell them the facts, and after a fact, you can then tell them your rule on it. So you have a boundary that's set at that point. So this is the fact, this is how it works in the world. And I understand that you're going to come up against it. And I understand that you'll probably be curious about it. However, these are my boundaries. So you are not to watch it until you are this age. Or if you find that someone is, these will be the consequences for it. Like you have to have set boundaries. Don't get me wrong. It's not all about the gentle parenting, just letting them fly off and do whatever they want to do whenever they want and going, oh yeah, that's fine. Just go and watch.
I think kids are manipulative and they'll go, yeah, but mum, like, yeah, I know you like cool, like talking about it and blah, blah, blah. No, hard line, absolutely no. I'm
Maybe.
Like, I'll be strict on it because I know I didn't have that and I'll be the absolute opposite. Like, honest to God, if my little girl ever got up to anything that I got up to, I would shave her hair off. Honest to God.
She probably will, that's the thing.
I swear, no, because trust me, I was absolutely unbelievable.
Well, you just won't know about it.
No, well, I'll be no problem. I'll be on top of her like a tramp on chips because no one was on top of me. Nobody. And actually, I needed that.
If you're putting your boundaries in place, the chances of them ending up there is slim anyway. But they have so many other places that this information is going to reach them. It's not just you. So when we were younger, it would have been so much harder for us to get hold of this information. We wouldn't have been able to just get access to the reams and reams and reams of information that they can at the moment. So it would have taken a lot more work. Again, like say a guy wanted to watch when we were younger, where would that have been? That would have been on a videotape. It would have been like a top shelf magazine. Like
I'll tell you, my partner and his friends tell me, because they all used to do it together, which is also disgusting. And there was like, you look 2 minutes on a free channel.
Yeah.
That's what they would do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that's disgusting.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll be really pleased about it.
I know. Yeah. Listen, I don't care. But yeah, well, we're having an open conversation, you know, so that's the kind of things that boys do.
But now they can get it so many different channels. And it's as easy as going up to their room with a phone or being on a bus with a friend and them showing them something. It isn't as easy to control those lines of input now. And I think that's where we need to just be stepping up the way that we parent in order to protect like closing off all the gates. Oh, you might see it here, but this is this. You might see it here, this is this. I get that you're going to see it here, but this is still the same consequence. These are still the same boundaries in place, because it is going to become really detrimental to them.
What do other mums think of you, like, and the way you approach writing the book, like at school or anything like that?
I don't really care that much. But
does anybody say anything like, "Oh, I don't agree with you"? Or
I sometimes get feedback from, like we've just had, with regards to the open conversation thing. That's something that a lot of people have really strong feelings about. I think they think by teaching their children about these things, they'll just immediately go off and do it. And that hasn't been my experience. And looking at lots and lots of studies, that hasn't been the experience of those either. So I really don't mind. With regards to the like phone usage and things, I do have an opinion on it, but it's kind of like an each to their own. You have to parent your children the way that you want to. And that's the whole point of the book. It's not about me preaching or telling you how you have to do stuff. So actually, other people's opinions on it, I don't mind. It's up to you. The book is either for you or it isn't.
It would be more helpful to the cause if all the mums were all on the same page. You know, let's say you've got, like, your son's got 4 mates.
Yeah.
And, you know, one lets them no boundaries whatsoever. You know, one mum just, like, doesn't really care. He's on the internet all day. He's on gaming all day. That, you know, there's literally no safeguarding, and he's the one who's got loads of access to porn, and he's showing it around the other mates. You've got another one who's probably more a bit like, they've got a flip phone, they're not allowed a smartphone, and then they're so different.
But even if you've put that flip phone in place, the point is you can't stop them getting access to that information, because they're still going to be mates with the guy that's got all the access.
Well, exactly. So that's the thing. So I feel like everyone in the circle needs to be, right, we're all on the same page with this. None of them are having social media. None of them are having this, and none of them are doing this.
But that would come from higher. The thing is, when they get to teens, you don't necessarily know who they're hanging around with. You don't know who their friends are, and you can't be texting their mums, the mums of the other boys' parents, to try and have these conversations. And even if you did, they might not care.
Well, that's the thing. That's where I'm
at.
They
probably don't.
There's 2 ladies. My friend lives down in Basingstoke, and she, their community, their whole community in Basingstoke, it's a little place called Overton. Their whole community has said absolutely no to smartphones till they're 16. All of them. So nobody at any of the schools, the primary schools, or this or that, the other, or in that area, none.
Yeah, that's great.
Brilliant. And I was like, great. How do you motivate that in everybody? You know what I mean? I love that approach, but it's very difficult because, you're right. Unless all of the parents are on the same page.
You're always going to get one.
Well, unless it comes from the school, unless it comes from, I don't know. But I feel like, I don't know, I'd be that parent who'd be like trying to galvanise everyone, and then everyone would be bitching about me behind my back.
And the thing is, it also needs to come from higher than that even. So the tech companies have a responsibility. There's a massive issue at the moment with sextortion. Have you seen the documentary on that?
I've not seen the documentary.
It's incredible. Jordan Stevens did a documentary on it where he allowed himself to get sextorted effectively and posed to be a teenage boy, and got somebody contact him within minutes of being online as these fake profiles. He then went on to ask them, the other side pretended to be a teenage girl and asked him to send over naked photos, which he then did. Obviously, they were from a willing, consenting adult, the photos that he sent over. Within moments, it was then threatened that they would release these photos across all of this guy's social media to all of his friends on TikTok and Instagram, and they demanded £200. So this is happening all the time. Apparently 65% of teenagers have now been affected by a threat of sextortion. And there have been, I think, 4 reported suicides as a result of it in the UK. So it's a huge problem, but the tech companies have the power to block this. Yeah. They have the power, especially with AI, to be filtering out these things before they even reach this point. So we can all do something. We can all have these conversations, but also it needs to come from higher up. And we're living in a society where it's so governed by these tech companies that aren't making moral choices, because they want to hook our teens into it, don't they? They want them there as a lifetime's worth of a customer on their systems. So they're not going to make the provisions to stop them from being on it.
Hasn't Australia just banned All social media for under 16?
Yeah, they have.
Why can't we do that?
Whether or not they can police it is another thing altogether.
Why can't they just go outside and kick a football?
It'd be great, wouldn't it? Solves everything.
Well,
I needn't have even written a book.
Why can't we just go back to that? I feel like just saying, just get outside, kick a football, for God's sake. Like, go and help me garden. I don't know, whatever it is. Something physical. You know what I mean? Okay. What's the parenting hill you'll die on, no matter how unpopular it is? We've heard a lot of mine today.
I think for me, teens aren't horrible. So that would be mine. I think we need to just stop shit talking our teenagers. It would be really nice to hear someone go, oh, actually, I have a teenager. They're really cool. They're innovative. They're passionate. Like, how many amazing people have started their businesses, or at least the thought of their business when they've been a teenager. And that's gone on to make them into such a successful person throughout life. But actually, if you're always making them feel downtrodden and less than, my daughter said to me once that, Mummy, she was about 9. She was like, Mummy, I don't want to ever be a horrible teenager. I like who I am. I don't want to be a teenager because they're all horrible, aren't they? Well, no, they're not. They're actually really cool. I actually really like spending time with my teens.
Yeah.
They're good people. They're fun to be around. They make me think differently about myself. They keep me in check, for sure. And it's great. And I'm not going to be a parent that's like, oh, they're my best friends, because we have a very different dynamic to that. We have a different relationship. But they are great. They are cool to be around, and they're so smart. Like, and not necessarily in like a conventional academic sense. Like, not all teenagers are like super switched on to that, but they think of things completely differently to how we do. And I think the future of where our society is going lies within our teens. But we need to give them what they need, and we need to protect them to get them to that point.
I think they need the moral compass, which I think is getting lost right now. I really do believe in that. Let's study some of the big thinkers of the world and things like that, and talk about it, and a bit more philosophy, and a bit like what it is to be human in a world of tech and AI. I think that's more important than ever, actually having empathy for people. And that actually should be the biggest thing I probably would focus on. Okay, we're going to wrap up shortly, but I've got a couple more questions. If there's one conversation you wish every parent could have with their teen this week, what would that be?
What would it be? That's a really big question. I think I would just have a really positive conversation with my teen about that you are grateful to have them around, that you see their strengths, you see their weaknesses too, but you see who they are, and that you are in their corner no matter what. So no matter what is coming for them, they can come to you, they can speak to you, and that you're there for them. And it sounds a bit of a cliche, but actually when you're a teenager going through a lot of change and you don't have a stable place to come back to, that's such an important thing, to be there for them. No matter what the question is, I'm here for you. Like, even if it's awkward, even if it's going to make you feel bad, even if you've done something wrong, I'm not going to judge you for it. Just speak to me. And I think we can make a plan to work through whatever you're going through. So that would be my thing, I think.
Perfect. Well, I've really enjoyed today's chat. It's made me definitely provoke some reactions in me and how I would parent, 1,000,000%. So I'm definitely going to read this. I've skim read it before, and I was thinking, all right, I can't wait to get into this. But yeah, I think this is like the perfect time for me to read it, as I'm trying to navigate a little bit with, the 2 boys, and then maybe later life with Grace. But who knows, everything might change by then. But no, I think it's really important. Did you enjoy writing it?
Yeah, I loved it. It was so cathartic. And actually, that was the feedback I got from lots of people that were a part of it and their stories. I got lots of thank yous from them for saying, actually, I've never really processed these feelings, and I've never really completely thought about how I felt when I was parenting my teens. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about it. So yeah, it was cathartic. It was nice. It was a nice, rewarding one.
Would you do a sequel?
Yeah, I'd love to, actually. I have something ready that I'm preparing, but I can tell you more about that next time.
Fabulous. Okay, well, I can't wait to hear about it. Well, thank you so much, Nicole, for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Having on the pod.